Giant Samuel Kwadwo has over 19 years of experience as a general human capital practitioner in the banking industry. He has extensive exposure and has worked in Ghana and in South Africa with our responsibility for East and West Africa countries of representations in the past. At the moment, he's the human capital, he's the head of people and culture at Stanbic Bank Ghana, where he provides strategic direction to the country's business on human capital requirements and enablement. He aligns the human capital strategy to that of the business and ensures that the human capital function provides the support required to implement these strategies for the attainment of the bank's strategic goals and objectives. He also provides strategic leadership to the human capital team and builds top-class capabilities for the effective support to the business and organization. He has he's a certified human resource manager, a certified trainer, and a member of the International Academy of Business and Financial Management, and also a member of the Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners. He left GSTS in 1994, continued to the Accra Technical University where he did mechanical engineering, and then also proceeded to the University of Ghana for both first degrees and master's degrees. So, Mr. Chairman, you have Giant Samuel Kwadwo for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giant Tay. Giant Samuel Tay, the floor is yours. And thank you for agreeing to do this for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and there's a sound check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes,
All right. So good afternoon, everyone, and indeed it's a pleasure to be here. When Senior Tay asked that I do this, I told him that this was going to be a big one because when it comes to jobs, usually it becomes very attractive for everyone, including myself, since that's what we all depend on. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and hopefully I should be able to provide some insights, into how we do a job search. But the whole idea is to position some strategies or tactics that you can actually jobs in every jurisdiction. So I would run through a couple of slides. Forgive me if it's quite loaded. These topics are quite, there's a balance between, it's an art and a science. So pardon me if I load you with a few PowerPoint slides. I have a video that I'll also share with you. So I guess, with your permission, I'll take it away. Okay. So this afternoon, we'll be talking about a couple of things. I'll run you through what really the world of work is at the moment. What are we experiencing? What's happening in the job environment? What are the sectors? What is the dimension in terms of what jobs are selling the most? Which jobs are becoming more difficult to attract people? Which areas do we have scarce skills in the job market to be able to attract and retain talent? I'm going to be fusing this with a little bit of my own experience and, of course, my workplace. At least my boss gave me permission to do that. So I'll be able to then share some experience that I also have. and some tidbits in that area as well. We will then move into the real job hunt. I must admit at this point that it is not an easy thing. So I'm not promising you that all of these strategies or mastering these areas would be 100%. There are a lot of factors that will affect any job search. So we'll delve into that as well. We'll look at some of the influencing factors, both internally and externally, and what are those things that we need to overcome to be able to get a job that will be meaningful, one, and would also add some quality to your life. I would also talk about some realities. Sorry, I have some big girls in my house, so maybe. Okay, so I also talk about some realities in terms of the struggles that we go through. They are not peculiar to industries, and they're also not peculiar to certain landscape in terms of the continent. So you'd find that there's a consistent trail. By the end of this pack, I would open up and maybe there will be some questions. If there's any additional information that you require, I'll provide them. I would also share the pack with you just so anyone who misses the session can also refresh themselves. So I guess we'll delve right into it in the interest of time. All right, so I think I've been introduced already. I just wanted to add that when you're introduced by a senior brother, there's not much you can say afterwards than to say that after school. So I was a late one and also worked in Accra Poly. There is something peculiar about my profile that people usually wonder. So here you are, you have a mechanical engineer, a computer science student, suddenly jumping into human resources. I get a question, how did it happen? What happened to you? What happened really there? And I will explain that in a moment. Also, just to highlight that if there are any VMates on the line, my people are here. So all the vandals, sharp to all of you. And also, if there are any Zulu members on the call, brothers Zulu and So that's the queue out there. I landed in HR by mistake or by accident. So after university, I got a job at Stanbic Bank, and I'll share this quite briefly. My idea was to go do computer science or work in the IT department. When I got in there, I went into HR. It was not something I wanted to do. But that's actually what's going to be inspiring me this afternoon to share what I'll be telling you today, in that sometimes it's not just what you study, it's not really what you want to do, but if you find yourself in certain areas or in a different environment, I think that the best version of yourself should come out. So when I landed in HR, I never thought that I would even ever get to be the head of a department in a big bank like Stanbic Bank. And I'm sure you're all aware, the Stanbic Bank is a subsidiary of the Standard Bank Group in South Africa. So we are a big bank. I'm very proud to be a member of the bank. I've been around over 20 years now. This is my 20th year, still going strong. And when I landed myself in HR, then I decided to do a master's in human resources and labor. So that's really how I landed there. But what's even most important is that it's not always what you learn in school, but really what would interest you. You would also notice in the subsequent slides that sometimes when you find yourself in a certain environment, in terms of job search, you do not necessarily have to close or shut yourself off from where you land yourself, i.e., if you want to be an engineer and you get yourself somewhere and you can give it a try, and if your interest builds there, you should be able to do well in it. Why? Because that is what's going to propel you into your career when it comes to any industry that you want to work. There is also the saying that A lot of people at a certain age in their life do not know what they really want to do. And it's interesting because it is true. So I've been recruiting a lot of people into the bank, and I work at Standard Bank Group in South Africa as well. And throughout my experience, I noticed that those who come and start off in terms of this is what I really want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. But normally, it limits your ability to explore other areas of yourself that you would not believe you have talent in. And if anyone told me that I would do good in HR, I probably would have said, not really. Again, I also wanted to go into music. So I used to rap a lot. I made one and I know. There's only guys who do, and I think about that's also aware. So I didn't even want to go into working in the bank in the first place. So Senior Ken will tell you, I was looking to, he calls me the disappointed hip hop artist. And maybe one day I'll eventually get back to that profession of mine, because that's really what I wanted to do all along. But then again, it tells you that you can have a lot of ambition or aspirations, but what's important is you do best where you are. Okay, so enough about me. Let's go into why we are here today. First question. Why do we really have to search for a job? Of course, it will not be placed on your table on a silver platter. But until you really make a conscious effort to search for what you really want to do or the area that you want to work in, it cannot come to you. This is not manna falling from heaven. There are a lot of things that are influencing our world of work today, be it technology, the labor market, population growth, regulatory, your own education, your profession, interests, meaningfulness of your job, how much you want to be paid. A lot of people come, I interview them and they say, oh, you give me the job and don't forget about the money. And not too long after you recruit them, they come back and say, nah, boss, mistake or not, income. It tells you, so make no mistake, you'll be looking for a job to earn a salary. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it is bad. It is not bad at all. You have to earn a salary. You need to get paid. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of people cannot just sit where they are, because that pay will not come to you until you search for it. Again, with a fast pace in our environment, the honest truth is that if you stay where you are, if you do not make a move, you become obsolete. Searching for a job not only enriches your career, not only makes your pocket fat through promotions or going around seeking better deals from organizations, it actually does add on to your own learning and career growth. So it's an effort that anyone or every one of us need to consciously make to really prospect, grow yourself, explore the opportunities. It is not easy, but you need to search for it. This is not also a paradigm shift from a lot of things that we've known, i.e., where you have people who get a job as a result of their affiliation or their association. And I'll explain that in a moment. Searching for a job also comes with its own challenges. There are times that jobs conflict with your personal beliefs. There are also times that conflict with what you had really wanted to do in your entire life. So you'll be where you are, you're not getting paid properly, you don't want to search, sitting there hoping that it will come to you. No, it will not. And I needed to reflect on something for me whilst I delve into it further. Your personal growth, how you shape up in the future until you're about 60 years that you retire, it's your responsibility. No one owns your career but yourself. What we HR people do is to facilitate that growth for you. I always tell my colleagues in the office, 80% of the time, it is your effort that pushes you when it comes to a career growth, or when it comes to a job improvement. It is your responsibility, no one else but yours. We would only provide the structures, policies, and the process around that for you. There's a quote here that says that the crowning fortune of a man is to be born to some pursuit which finds him employment and happiness, whether it be to make baskets, broadworks, or canals, or statues, or even a song like I wanted to do. It's important that you know that that's what makes really a meaningful life, and should be the fundamental part of your working career. Again, when it comes to job search, people make the mistake of thinking that job search is only when you're going to be working for someone. This also includes entrepreneurs, people who want to work on their own. I've had people resign from the bank and go set up their own business. It's actually part of the job search, because to be able to do or run an entrepreneur or a business, that is a job that you've decided to pursue. And you cannot sit where you are and allow that to come because you have money to open up a business. You need to begin to ensure that you pursue a certain career, which is a job which you intend to grow in. What is happening in the world of work today? A lot are changing. About 3 years ago, we had COVID struck. A lot has changed. For those of you in corporates, you know what I'm saying. Even for businessmen, professionals, experts, specialists, senior salute. You would find that a lot have changed in the world of work, and they impact or influence each other. So whether you are in a corporate environment or you are running a business on your own, there are some interrelationships or interdependencies that comes to affect, or that has come to affect us today. Research has shown that 3 areas have drastically changed over the past 3 years. And these are what? New roles. In addition to what we had all seen so far, a lot of people are beginning to change careers. In Stanbic, it's a bank, but we're having people leave to pursue careers that are not even financially related. We have people moving because of family circumstances. We have people moving to chase their personal ambitions and dreams. We have people who are beginning to rethink, really, is this the area for me? Is this what I really want to do? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe if I stay, things will get better. Or let me try something else. One important aspect of our jobs, which keeps on coming up these days, and for us in Stanbic, we made a conscious effort to even make it a policy, is about how we work or where we work. So a lot of people, a lot of you there, I'm sure you are working from home. A lot of you are working from across the world. Organizations are beginning to spend money, are beginning to change their policies, their processes, their communication tools, even their internal procedures to accommodate working from everywhere. In Stanbic, we have a remote work policy and we have a hybrid work. So I'll explain. A remote work is where you decide to work anywhere else, as long as you're connected, as long as you're doing your job. And we've seen that really our people are very productive when they're working from home or remote. And at this point, what we've actually come to see is that for those people who chill a lot, and when it gets to Monday, you don't get to see the hangover, because they're able to wake up and continue working without we seeing them. And they're actually top form. They work like crazy, because when you go to and it's time to work, because you know you're working from home, you know your boss will be watching. So suddenly they begin to join calls quickly and respond to emails as if they're working very hard. But it's okay, as long as the work is being done, we see productivity rise. But it's important to note that this has changed how we work and where we work. It's also impacted things like our culture and values. People are spending more time with their families. There's a lot more family quality time. There's a lot more time for yourself. People are beginning to reject office because you do not have a hybrid work or a remote work policy. We recruited somebody who said that, listen, I'm prepared to cut my salary for you to allow me to work hybrid. So hybrid means you do part of your day elsewhere and part in the office. So you could do your first 4 hours at home and end the day in the office. Also, you could do a Monday, Tuesday. So it's a hybrid arrangement. You can juggle up which one you want to do. Some people would say, I'm not a morning person, so I come in the afternoon. Some would say, I come in the morning, I close early. That is hybrid work, and we do have that policy in-house as well. Another thing that have also shifted is that we are seeing a lot of move towards people asking for compensation, people wanting to be grown, people are taking careers into their own hands, they're not career progressions. We see people coming up and saying, boss, you know what, I've not been trained for a long time. We have seen people actually taking training on their own. They go online, they book courses, they learn, they come back, they show you. We are seeing a lot of lawyers come through these days. I don't know what's happening there. Right? A lot of people are learning law and actually coming to the office and bringing that there, which is also good. So the industries themselves are beginning to transform. Banks, for example, we are moving towards a highly technology area where we do our banking remote. Everybody can log in anywhere. We have a 24-hour call service that you can call to complain. You don't have to wait till Monday. We're seeing businesses begin to do 24 hours a day, 24/7. Why? Because people can connect to them. And in the US, for example, people are asking for a lot more from their employers. They are spending a lot more time and effort around their own career progression, which is really, really good because then people are taking career into their own hands. These are what's happening in our new world of work. Things are changing, and they are changing very, very fast. Now let's talk about the employment landscape. So just a few numbers or just some comments around the job environment. I think sometimes where we work, and sometimes it affects our prospecting. Sometimes it affects our ability to get that dream job. Sometimes it also affects our ability to be able to be a bit stable because you end up having people moving from one job to the other, or people who are moving and getting more frustrated because they're not landing the job they want to have. Some numbers in Ghana, and I pulled them from the statistical service, which is quite interesting. These are last year numbers because the 2023 numbers are not ready yet. Ghana, with all a population over 30 something million, we can say only 13.4 million in the country are employed. Now, this is the number that comes out of the employable population. Again, so my source here is the statistical service. We also understand that about 52% of our labor force are engaged in agri, so this is very interesting. 29% are in the service industry, 19% are in industrial factories, and again, about 39% are doing farm labor who are females. You have agriculture and environment contributing about 54% of our GDP. Sometimes there is a focus in one sector of the economy or world of work, and then people begin to think that, well, everybody has to apply and go into a particular area. But this tells you something quite interesting, that there's a lot more opportunities in certain sectors. And again, people should be able to, with a certain profession and expertise, work in various sectors without necessarily saying that, well, because I did banking and finance, I should necessarily go to a bank. Or because you have a financial background, you should go into financial related environments. It can cut across. Our unemployment rate, unfortunately, I mean, this is debatable. I wasn't sure whether it was true, but it's quite interesting also here that about 5.7% on average of the employable population are unemployed, i.e. those who can work. I'm still wondering how. Probably have to cross-check that, but this is what's actually on the statistical service website. It just gives you a view of whether the jobs are even available in the first place for you to go and search. I'll just delve straight into it. So I will not go into too much today, Saturday. So I will just go into the main agenda with this background. So we've spoken about what's happening in the world of work. We've spoken about how organizations are transforming. We've spoken about what really would affect people when they want to have a meaningful job. What are those things that are peculiar? What are those factors that would affect us? Again, we've spoken about what are the job opportunities, what percentage are there, which industries are really booming and all. And now we come into the job hunt itself. I just use this slide for a reason. So imagine you are the one standing on the hill. There's a vast array ahead of you. So you complete school. A lot of people these days, we've seen that, so in the workplace, for example, what I've noticed is as a head of HR, what I've noticed is that a lot more first degree holders would prefer to begin working after first degree before they tend to pursue any other profession or a second degree. We also tend to see that there are some people, quite a very small population, who would go straight from first degree to a master's and probably professional before they think about where to work. Now, this is quite interesting. Why? Because a lot of people are cognizant of the fact that by the time you finish schooling 20, you come back and the jobs they have been taken. So what do? They intend to pursue a job after national service, have something stable going for them, and then explore further education. And in my experience, what I've come to notice is this. When people finish school or our junior citizens, then that's university, those who are in a hurry to go further the education, they do that. But by the time they come back, some jobs have been taken already. And we have to now start them off at an entry level. So for example, entry level in Stanbic and most organizations is the first degree. You don't need a master's for that. If we employ you and you are there and you build a certain stability in your career, you'll be able to pursue, because we do that, we believe in growth. So we'll be able to support you further education. But if you go do your master's, as I'm not saying this bad, but if you go pursue further education and you come back, there is no guarantee that you will start at a higher level. Again, for financial reasons, a lot more people would go and get a job first, use that salary to pay their school. It's also good. Again, we have another set of students or graduates who would prefer to go straight into entrepreneurship, which is even the best. We all dream to be there one day. So assuming you are done with school and you are standing on top of the hill, and what you see in front of you is a very large landscape of opportunities to explore. What do you do? We call it The Hunt. For those who like movies, I'm sure you've watched the movie The Hunt. Where do you start? Where do you go? How do you start? What are those things that you need to carry along with you to start with? What's the future road for you? Are you really confident that you get a job? Is it even available? Is it the one you want? Is it the one that's going to add to your self-growth? It's always a blurry picture. And I can promise you today that we have people who are very senior today, and you say, ask them what you want to do, and they are still saying, maybe in future I'll go into this. We all think about that once in a while. This is what's really happening here. This is the reality. The reality is that you need to identify the best fit for the market. But how do we even know what the market holds? A lot of people think that as soon as you enter a certain profession or a certain industry with what you have, it's an automatic appointment or also an automatic job sort. No, please. Sorry. Some people also come very confident. I have done this and I've done this and I've done this and I've done that. It's all well and good. But that's not what's going to get you a job. Why? Because now 100% of service personnel or entry level, everyone has a first degree. Everyone is pursuing something professional. They come in and 2 years later, they are into law. So one of the cornerstones of a successful job search is actually not the qualification. It is not what that big dream is. It is how you understand what the job market holds for you and how you navigate and take opportunity of that job market using the skills, experience, and those strategies that I'll be explaining to you in a moment. This is very key. You will not just get a job because of your qualification. I'm sorry. It will not come to you because of your qualification. It will not come to you because you are going to do a master's or something. No. It's a whole different ballgame. We have had people with certain class level, they score high, and I'm sure most of you have seen. You see some of your mates in certain jobs, and you are wondering, or there are some people who come with a certain class, you got a first class and the person's already there. Why? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So, okay, so I was on the reality now. I'm saying that all the qualifications and things that you have at the moment, they will not just automatically land you a job. It's a whole different ballgame. It's a different reality. You will not just get a job because you have a first class. You will not just get a job because you have a certain qualification. You will get a job if you understand how the market plays, how you capitalize on those unique skills, how you search and take advantage of certain tactics. In fact, I will show you in a moment, certain skills, certain factors, how you navigate yourself. These are what will help you land that dream job. It is not easy, and it is not going to come to you on a silver platter. So a lot of people think that there's an automatic employment because I finished my master's. It doesn't happen. How do you then translate, or how do you come in from school and expect, or we don't expect you to just come out of school and suddenly have a master in searching for jobs? Well, unless you're congressing, a lot of people who are from level 100 or from the first year, they begin to, some people are very well connected, very influential, they know how to just relate. They are very good at that. In fact, you'll be in an interview with someone who probably had a 10th class. You don't really do anything, but he will help the panel and he'll give it a job. Simple. Why? They understand a few more things that you don't understand. Then you come and sit there with just a qualification. It won't help. Okay. Now, there are a lot of factors also that comes to play here. The level at which you have a clear focus on what you want to do or what job you're searching is key.
Sit down, come on. Okay. What's fire?
Please mute yourself. If you're not talking, please mute yourself.
Okay. So let's go back again to the realities. These are the realities and how you should understand them. The first one is focus. This is the degree to which you have a clear understanding of your job search. Somebody comes to you and says, I'm looking for a job. Which areas are you looking for? Oh, me, if you give me anything, I'll take. I've been at home for the past 5 years. Even if you give me a clinic, I'll do. At least there should be a focus. Nobody will give you a job because you are so open. And I'm not saying that you should not diversify yourself, but you don't go to search for a job and say, I will take anything. It doesn't work that way. You cannot go to hospital and say, I have a first degree, you take me. Even if you take me as a lab assistant or whatever, I'll clear your table for you. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to have a focus. That's the only way you'll be able to narrow in where your energies, your thinking, your preparation, and how you apply what you have gained in school in the job market. Number 2, best fit. Now, this is where you match your qualification to what your objective is. An example. So you come in and say you have a first degree, and you sit in front of me and say I should give you a cleaning job. And I get that a lot. And sometimes people say that because, oh, you may be an audio, but what about it? No. I cannot recruit a first degree to come and do a cleaning job. We cannot pick a master's student to just come and say, I'm a clerk or my telephonist. I understand. Sometimes people will say, well, it might be more. So whatever you give me, I'll take. No. Probably will be destroying your career if you do that. In Stanbic, in my organization, we don't do a mismatch. We do a best fit, or at least a close fit. Nobody will recruit a first degree to come and sweep just because you are home. It's important that you match your qualification to your search. It does not make sense for you not to get, again, the reverse applies. So again, you don't come in with a first degree and say, I want to be the managing director. And all your experience you have is national service. Who is really going to talk to you? So understand where you best fit in that search, in that organization. Where would I fit? Which area? You don't go and talk anyhow. Sometimes some people do that because they think they're frustrated. And I always guide them and say, you know what? Don't go around telling people that I have a master's, but I can't do this, or I want to do this because I'm home. That is not the reality. And most people often are not. Either they are going to take advantage of you, organizations, or you will not be really attended to. What we will do is to coach you and let you understand. I will let you understand that, please don't do that. You see, you have a first degree, go look for a first degree job. If the job no day, we can find something else, but please don't go either lower yourself too much or upgrade yourself too much. As a national service, and you come and say, I want to be them. It's the best fit. Number 3, your credentials. This is very important, okay? Your profession and your educational qualification, plus experience, skills, your expertise. If you do not understand what you have done, it's very difficult to look for a best fit or where you can navigate. Again, here, the other side of these credentials is not to also restrict yourself. So I could have decided to go to a factory and say, I did mechanical engineering. It's only industry I'll go. No, don't limit yourself to that. Okay, your profession, you should understand how diversified you can be. And this is totally different from the fit. These are how you use your own credentials to land that dream job. Number 4, the personal attributes. Let me tell you something. Some people fail a job search from day one. As soon as it is in front of you, or they come to say, I'm submitting my CV, oh, I'm looking for, is there a vacancy here? They fail from that point. Now, your personal characteristics and how they affect or relate to people is always the key. And I made reference earlier that there are some people, before they give their CV, they are waiting you finish. You are giving them the job before you ask them, bring your CV. Why? They understand how to use their personal characteristics, their interpersonal skills, their leadership quality, their behavioral qualities, how they can navigate certain relationships and build them from day one. You will like them before they even give their CV. Now, these really sell, but they can also be a limitation. So I don't expect you to go up too much. They'll say you're being arrogant. You come, you are going to the place. No. You don't do that as well. You match your personal attributes. If you don't have master it, a lot of people lack confidence. A lot of people come without any preparation. A lot of people come and they rather keep on asking questions. I have time. I'll coach you. Even if we don't recruit you, I'll coach you maybe for the next job. And when we have a career fair, these are the things we preach to the younger ones. These are the things you need to watch out for when you are looking for a job. And then lastly, the market demand. So I said earlier that it's always good to understand what the market holds for you. What is the size of the market? Are the jobs available? I'm sure most of you are aware that there is a very huge migration of people across the world to Canada, for example, Netherlands. There, you understand there's a lot more jobs there. People are moving very, very fast. One of these days, I have to think about. People are moving there very, very fast. A lot of people are exploring. There are a lot of people who also don't fit within their circle only. I like people like that because I moved out of my comfort zone. So don't limit yourself to here. So people who have been sending to go from Ghana, if you're not working and there's some place in Canada, why not? So the size of the market or the job availability, the unemployment rate which I showed you, the employment opportunities, the sectors, the businesses, the entrepreneurial areas that you can have the government supporting people, pumping a lot more support to up and coming entrepreneurs. These are the things that you need to watch out for. Do not go into an area where there is already an overflow of skills. People these days are moving towards technology. Why? Because there's skills shortage. So if you're very strategic and you know that a lot more organizations are looking for people with technology background, what do you do? Well, it's an area that you need to consider if you can. But don't go and do it because everybody's going to do it. So if it's an area that is selling, why not? We recruited a lot of people from the tech because most of our systems are being integrated into technology and operations, and we make sure that even the basic person in the organization understands some tech. It's an area that you can also explore. But don't go into an already saturated environment where there's high competition and you know that your chances are low. Don't waste your time. If there's a place where it's available, why not? Anybody who comes to me to say, Canada, I'll say, go look, don't go and look sharp. So you need to understand these dynamics. You don't just go out there and say, I'm looking for a job. These are realities, and I need to be very honest with all of you. Now, let's move on to exploration. So now you understand how the market is playing out. Now you understand which areas you'll be looking out for, how you match your qualification, how you match your interpersonal skills, what are you looking for, what are the politics in there. I'll go into politics very soon. How the politics are playing out. You know what? There's one word that I always, when I speak to people, I always, whom you know. When it comes to exploration, a lot of people focus on whom you know. Let me seize 2 minutes to tell you how I got a job. So it's because of this that I sometimes always like to speak to people and not get them to be limited. And Senior Ted knows this, so he's my brother, so he knows. After school, after national service, when I was looking for a job, guess what? I narrowed my search in the manufacturing industry only. That is why I was sending my CV to only. Why? Because I'm an engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer. So I realized that it was a very narrow focus. A lot of people out there, it wasn't really big. I started somewhere, it was really, really fast, so I had to pretend. I believe senior boss says, must I go back? And I said, I'm coming to Accra. I'm coming here. But that's what happened. Whilst I was limiting myself to the manufacturing, I lost sight of the fact that there are other opportunities that I can match my qualification to. And that's what I said earlier, the best fit. So if you don't understand how you fit in, you just go either narrow focus or going to spread anything all over the place. No one would have convinced me that I'm working in the bank. But again, no one even would have convinced me if I would do HR. And that's where the trick is. Anytime you decide that you are looking for a job or exploring with somebody in mind, it is the beginning of your limitation. I repeat, if you are going to search for a job and your entire search is based on somebody you are looking for to help you, no problem with help, but don't limit it. And this is why I'm saying this. Whilst I was chasing, so I hope I had passed them, and I'm sure if it was there, I'm sure I wouldn't even search, but that's how life is. So I hope I has passed them, and I'm looking for a job. Senior with you, Senior Ted will say, go and see these people, I'll go there. And me too, I'm going to see more boys people. And this is what happened. That was what I was doing. Why? Because I was just looking for whom you know. I hear it's all whom you know. So all I was doing was, who are my father's friends? Who do I know there that can help me? And whilst I was focusing on my needs there, and I remember there was a man at Standard Board, probably he's around by now. This was the man I go to him for money there. By each time there, this man will say, sit down. He'll go and do meetings. He come in the and still come. Oh, you're still sitting here. I mean, go and come tomorrow. That was what I was doing, morning, afternoon, evening. And I was narrowing my search because I was just limited. In my mind, I can only get a job because I knew somebody. Brothers, fellow giants, it is all well and good. But that focus is what hurts a lot of people today. It's not as easy these days, I know. But whilst I was studying for the home, I forgot a lot of these things here. And I'll explain. Don't limit yourself when you're exploring for a job. Go for it. Apply for it if you see it. Don't always be waiting to say, I want to know somebody before I go. The day I was called to go for an interview, I asked the one who called me, how do I get to Stanley? And then she said, but how did you bring your CV? Yeah, and that's why I posted it. Really? She said, yes, man. So you didn't give anybody who got it? I said, no. So you don't need anybody here? I said, no. I just went to post office and I posted it. And some niggas here, some guys who didn't know. They all know. I didn't go there to say, I'm coming to give my CV to Mr. X and Mr. Y. You can't do that. It's a facilitation thing. But don't limit yourself to that when you're exploring for a job. Guess what? Sometimes the places that you so I didn't know anybody. I just posted it. I was called for an interview. I asked, where is the bank? They said, oh, but who did you give it to? So I think I have a connection here. Okay. And I said, well, I posted it. So brothers, when it comes to exploring for a job, you can use people, no problem. But don't limit yourself to that. You are sitting there and jobs will pass you by. You need to develop a certain effective search skill. And you know what? In Ghana, that's really, really, really prevalent. But elsewhere, they don't do this when you know business. And I think it's a huge limitation. I think in the industry in which I am, there are people who come, we recruit them, and they are saying to me, but if I knew you guys run such a fair process, no politics, we'll give to you. Don't narrow yourself. The strategy is that open up your search. Look for those industries that align to what you're searching for. When you get them, don't limit yourself to knowing someone. Don't limit yourself to a certain dependency. So you can only apply to somewhere because you depend on one person. That's the beginning of you will search. You will search tire because they will keep on disappointing you. When you're conducting a search, you need to make sure you are very extensive in certain or laying bare your skills, experience, and by extension, what you really, really want to do. Your search should not be narrow. You are looking for a job, not only on the websites. There are other mediums that you can use to search, daily people, or whatever. I mean, these days, most organizations put vacancies online. So I'll take you through a couple of the areas that you can actually look at when you are searching or when you're exploring a job opportunity. And most of these, apart from the fact that they are studies, I have personal experiences in them. So I'll take you through quickly in the interest of time. You can search for a job through a job board. A lot of people see job, we advertise roles. Guess what? We advertise roles. And somebody will call in and say, oh, I see you advertise the role. I said, I tell you what, this is what I'm going to tell you today. If there's any other person here who will tell you that when we advertise a job, okay, we have somebody already. Well, I'm not sure about what we have presentation. Otherwise, it will keep interfering. I repeat, anytime you see a job advert or a job posting, in your mind, don't be limited. Don't say, and I'll explain to you why. No organization would spend money on a job posting when there is somebody to be appointed. Why? And I know a lot of guys may bring up politics here, but I'll explain also why. Every effective organization, okay, has limited resources. And if they are very effective in proper career and talent management, you will not develop a talent or somebody who you are going to do a job. And when the person is ready and the job becomes vacant, you look at that person there, after spending a lot of resources on them, you move and go and do an advert again. Some will do it for political reasons. So that's why I said that it's not 100%. There are times that you find that, okay? There are also times that people advertise why, because there are more than one candidate or more than one potential. Any job posting that you see, never assume that is for somebody already. Apply for it. A lot of people say, oh, that's it, no. Apply for it, okay, if you're interested. Number two, when you share your CV with a recruiter or people who do recruitment, note that it is not an automatic appointment. Also, they are one of the best medium to get a dream job. Why? You make sure you keep your contacts with them. And I explain. Most often than not, recruiters, when you don't get a job with a recruiter, people brand them. Don't do that. They will keep you in their database. And if you are qualified enough, maybe at the time you are appointed, there was no job or a match for you. But as long as they are a recruiter, they have you in their database. I've seen people assault or people call recruiters and tell them off. Well, that's a big problem if you do that, because it's a very huge potential area that you can land a dream job. When I finish for a job, I send these emails or going to teach my houses. There's only when I got a job finished and they started calling, so I land somewhere, it's okay. You understand? So don't go fighting recruiters. Don't go rubbishing them, because they are most likely the ones to also connect you again. Number three, your CV. So CV, resume. These days, I don't talk too much about CVs because all of them, I'm sure the kids these days talk about CVs. So I don't stress too much on CVs. Just make sure that the important things are in there. Remember, when you go and apply for a job, you are not the person from the beginning. They don't know you. The only thing that they will know is your CV. So you have to be known through that CV. That's what speaks to you. That's what expresses who you are. That's what shows that this person behind the CV could do this job. So don't limit yourself on your CV. Some people say, I will send a CV. I will send a short one. So that when they come in, I will send a bigger one. For what? Send the CV, if it's a verification, send everything. A lot of people, where they write, when people do CV and write the references upon request. My brother, see, those things are personal. We do those reference checks even before we call you. So if you do a CV and you have a referee and you write under to be provided upon request. What you're just doing is that you're limiting your possibilities, because these days we even call your referees before we invite you for an interview. So we may not have the luxury of time to call you for your referees. You understand? So we would do your background check even before we invite you. So if you have a CV and you are written upon request and then in reference, well, some organizations would ask for it. So normally I can say, unless you're a very, very senior person, put your referees there, because we talk to them before we invite you. Number four, networking. These are all networking platforms, WhatsApp platforms, schoolmates, friends, everywhere. Networking, but I won't even stress too much. As long as you're in school, have friends and professional colleagues and people that you work with, that's references. I mean, a lot of people that you meet on a day-to-day basis, they only end up being your network and your connectors or your contacts, and they would always explore for you. A lot of people have landed jobs, one, because they only knew to talk to the right people. So as long as you have a connection somewhere, there's a job vacant, and I will live an architect, and I know there's an architect. Why would I stress myself? I'll come for you. I'll come and say I know someone here. And this network also, don't over rely on them, because again, that goes back to what I explained earlier about the whom you know. You have a network, build on it, but it's not 100%. Apply to the unknown areas. You can also apply to the known areas. Number 5, brand awareness. I'll skip this one because I have a whole session on it in the coming slides. Interviewing, another solid area. This session is not for interviewing, but just to mention that 90% of the time, interviewing, these days we balance it. So interviewing about 60% of the recruitment process. Why? We've noticed that studies have shown that there are some people who know how to talk about. There are some people who don't know how to talk, but they are able to deliver. So that is the reason why there are times we will go behind the scenes and talk to your referees. So remember the issue of the referees. If we don't find them there and the person comes and talks plenty, and we don't find the referees and say upon request, how would there will be somebody we may take ahead of you? Interviewing also these days are done a bit flexibly. Why? Because of work from home and other places, a lot of people would typically do interview online, which is the best because they can. I think it's the best. You can prepare. I don't see if you fail an interview online, then it's not at home. Seriously, because you are in your comfort zone. I'm sitting here interviewing. I'm very comfortable. I should be able to pass. You just have to make sure that when you're wearing a suit, you wear trousers at the bottom. Some people, when they interview, the top is suit, and then when they stand up, you see that they are wearing boxer shorts. We find that sometimes quite interesting. But just make sure that your interview skills are spot on. A lot of people would also tell you, I may not be good at interview, but I can do the job. That is why we use assessments and other tools to see it out. But I tell you what, as you go in your career, interviewing is something you have to master. It comes with it because you will have to be given lectures like I'm doing here now. You have to do presentations. You have to speak to people as you go up in the corporate ladder. And your public speaking or your ability to be able to engage with an audience is extremely important. So if you are coming for a job like mine and you cannot talk to employees, or you have a stage fright, or you are somebody who have limitations when it comes to public speaking, you need to sharpen them, because guess what? These ones are little tricks that come in addition to your qualification. You need to be able to be confident enough to interview. If you slack in it, there are guys who can call you to go for a successful interview. I interviewed with very seasoned people, and as you can see, I helped them very well, and you will get it. I had no experience, nothing, but I think that the only thing that helped was just that little focus and extra effort I used to interview well. You should come out very pleasant. We pick people sometimes we pick people from the moment they enter the room. Search management. A lot of people also do searches and they try to okay. That's what I mean by search management. If you're looking for a job in an organization and you apply for a job, remember, I'll say it again, leave your choices there. Never say, well, I didn't get a job, so this organization, I'm no longer interested. That would be true. A lot of people leave their CVs there. A lot of people go back. Sometimes you may, I wouldn't say fail. If you're unsuccessful in a job search, that's not mean that place you should never go again. I find that quite interesting. Oh, the job is not yours. The job is not yours. You have to apply to get it. If you say they have it and you are looking for it, so if you apply, they don't pick you, so you have to stop applying. So what never ever miss your search management. There are people who are applying to my organization today. 10 years on, they still send me their CVs. And one day I'm sure they'll get it. Lastly, is on LinkedIn. It's one of the most reliable areas to get a job these days on LinkedIn. A lot of people use it, but a lot of recruiters go there. We go there as well. We're doing the market map. Market map is when we're looking for somebody. I would say we go on LinkedIn. We pitch every person with certain qualifications. So let's say you're looking for a credit analyst or an investment banker or or a tech person, or somebody with credit skills, or compliance, or regulatory, whatever it is. We go onto the LinkedIn and then do a market map. Market map, we pick all the profiles. We don't know you. You don't know that we're doing that behind the scenes. And then we begin to engage before we even think about hunting you. Now, guess what? There is job hunt, but it's also head hunt. Okay, so job hunting is not always the case. We can also come and hunt your head. I'm not come and hunt you. So there is job hunting, but there's also head hunting, and I'm sure it's one of the slides up. So I'm going to skip this slide. I'm going to move on, but just to say these are search areas or search strategies that do not lose sight of them. Make sure you search on all the board job postings on the board, look for them, explore them. You should be engaging with your recruiters. Don't miss them, don't shun them. And never say that I will not send my CV there again. Your resumes should be crisp, they should be top notch. You should be able to load it with all the information required. Your networking, don't lose that at all. I mean, that area you cannot compromise. Your brand awareness, I will explain that. I will have this whole session, so I'll explain in a moment. And also interviewing, I just spoke about it at length. Your search management, do not throw away your previous searches. They are the ones who come back later for you. So never say, I've deleted my CV from their platforms. Don't do that, unless you don't want to grow. And then lastly is LinkedIn. Okay, so now let's move into a very common area at this point. Just take a minute and look at this carefully. I'll run through quickly because the main list is coming up. These are search dimensions that I want everyone. I think that I selected them for a reason, because these are the tools or the dimensions that sometimes, okay, we lose sight of them. In Stanbic, there are two types of recruitment. We do internal recruitment in most organizations. I know some of you seniors, MDs and things, so you know what I mean. We do internal recruitment and we do external recruitment. The processes we run internal, most of them that notice almost a replica of the external one. One is searching for a candidate for a job. Certain key things we look out for. Don't throw them away. And guess what? Whilst they represent here as external and internal, they overlap each other. And I'll explain. Your education, number one. Your profession, number two. Now, these two, I'll spend some time on them. How do you go and search for a job when you don't know that you're looking for? How do you go and search for a job, like I said earlier, and enter there and say, you give me anything I like? So you are first degree, and you say, I'm home. You give me a broom down the street. No. Your education, your profession is the beginning of your career. I repeat, your education and your profession is the beginning of your career. Guess what? And I know this is more corporate, but it goes all the way down. So people who are even local workers, cleaners at the bottom, they all have ECSA, SHS and things. We have people who lift cash, they have SHS. And what I'm trying to say is that whatever job you do, there is some entry qualification, which comes through either your education or your profession. Okay. Your interest comes out almost automatically. One of the reasons why probably, and this is feedback that I got after I got a job in Stanbic, they told me, you have a very peculiar interest. And they said, oh, you're a people person, very nice, pleasant guy, outgoing. We think that people like people in organization. So when my bosses saw it, they said, okay, guess what? From the car park, by the time I got to the top, on the top floor to interview, the security man down there, the one on the top floor, the one at the car park, they all almost knew my name. When I went to interview, the security man on the top floor with the receptionist said, oh, obey AI, obey AI. And I'm like, you didn't even know me. They're like, oh, you can't be AI. From someone, listen, from someone. They don't know me, I don't know them. But they saw something peculiar. Not everybody has that peculiarity. But if you're looking for a job, we should see a little bit of interest. It's interesting to note, and for most seniors here, you know, and I know you know, we get people who, let's say, they come and tell you, you know what, me, I didn't want to come here. It was my father who said I should be posted here. The media, I don't like it. I don't want to be in the bank. It is my father who said I should come. There are people who come and say, you know what, I came here for the money, but it's not working. There are people who clearly will tell you, my interest is not here. We had someone who just resigned to go and teach. And guess what? We had somebody who just resigned to go and become a musician. And I told him, I'll follow suit very soon. Your interest should come out. I was an engineer, but I was interviewed with a certain, they identified a certain interest. They can be very unique to people. Some of them come out immediately, some of them don't. We are recruiting an investment banker. If you come and sit there and you start typing plenty, well, sometimes we do, sometimes we won't. But investment, they are very serious people. But if I was the HR person, they come and sit there, they make your face. They're like, when employees see them, they'll run away. So your interest is something that we gauge, and this comes with expertise and experience. So not everybody can see interest from day one. Again, career plan. People just go where the wind will blow them. So I landed here and that's it. It's all well and good. I said earlier, if you remember, I said, yeah, people today, they still don't know what they want to do in life, which is fine. But at least there should be a little bit of what you want to do. You can have a lot of them, but you cannot have zero. You should have a career ambition. You can say, I want to do this, it's fine, but never say, I don't know what I want. If you don't know what you want to do, probably that in itself is a career, maybe. But you should know at least a career or something you want to do. The professionals amongst you, it's an architect. But there are some jobs, that's a specialization, okay? But there are some jobs that are generalists, like what I did. So he is a specialist, he's a doctor, lawyer, architect. But generally, for people in the arts environment, I do HR, it's an open one. Because it's not a specialization per se, unless you go out and choose. There are some careers that are a little bit difficult to gauge. And unless you explain what you really have interest in, it may be difficult for the person recruiting you to note. Performance. So you think that you are coming to stand for a job. In your mind, if you're a non-performer where you're coming from, you will know. So if you're a poor performer where you're coming from, and you come to stand or you're going somewhere else, you want to leave that your non-performance there and come in front. Guess what? This is something that people always lose sight of. Because people find out. So a lot of people they think that the best way to escape a non-performance at work is to leave the organization and take your non-performance somewhere else. Very soon you'll be put up, because at the end of the day, if you're a performer where you're coming from, we will see it translate from the very day you enter. And that is why we do things like probation. We put you on probation to assess you. Sometimes we do background checks. Sometimes we ask questions about your achievements. We ask you questions about how you manage a team, just to gauge a little bit of the complex nature of a job. And if that complexity does not come out, but we don't gauge, especially for the leadership roles. So if you're a manager, there are certain complexities that you should be able to manage. So that's how you take care of this, and then you begin to speak in a certain way. We can clearly see whether either you're an effective leader or you're a very ineffective leader. That is a performance indicator for us. If you are a non-performer in one department in your current organization, and you think that you can just escape that your boss because he's giving you a hard time, but you want to run away from that to another department, well, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But they always say, if you're good, it will show. So they will say, if you're good at what you're doing today, it's more likely you will be able to be good at what I'll do with tomorrow. So if you're not a performer here today, you'll probably be a non-performer. And sometimes it overlaps. People have many reasons why they perform or don't perform. But it is key. If you're a good person, if you're a performer, your job hunting will be easy because everybody will know that you know the thing and you are a star in it. But if you're a non-performer, and we can even ask, so the head of HR is not how did they go that guy shine? Or the head of HR is not the guy no therefore. Suddenly, so you certain we have all these networks. I mean, a gathering and I hear of this guy here who was a wild guy in this organization. I'll come for you. I will headhunt you. It's the same way you go job hunt. I'll headhunt you. So sometimes your job should sell you. It is not just your CV. It's not your profession. It's just what you have been able to do. We have stopped recruiting qualification. We have stopped recruiting professional. We recruit what you can do. If you can't do it and you have the paper, well, we can train you. But at certain levels, competition is very high these days. Lastly, meaningful job. If your job has no meaning, then the interest is low. And sometimes people, you know what happens is that when there is low job satisfaction and your salary to no good, that's crazy. That's like you probably you're better off quitting and go to stay somewhere. But guess what? A meaningful job adds to your psyche and adds to your energy level, which then manifests itself in your performance. I repeat, if you find your job meaningful, okay, it enhances your energy level. It enhances your ability to perform, which then propels you in your own career. If you see somebody, your passion that you display actually exhibits how meaningful what you're doing to you, which again is reinforced by your interests. So you have no interest, and the job may not be meaningful to you. You're probably only gaining big money, but guess what? Money is nothing. Money is not the only object. We have paid people money. They have resigned and said it's not all about the money. I doubt these days. These days I don't see it very often. I want your number, so I don't get it very often. But guess what? We have people who come and say, "So you know what? I'm tired." I'm like, "So what? You're leaving all of this here? Some for family reasons, health reasons. There's no satisfaction. There's no nothing. That's not in Ghana. I don't see it very often here. Somewhere else, fine. But the meaningful of your job actually, it's core. It's core. If you don't like what you do, you will never be good at it. And if you like what you do, like I said, if you enter a job search and everybody sees what you like and you are able to exhibit performance and achievements you do, easy. This is the main piece of the presentation today, and I know I can see I have only a few minutes to go. We would have time for Q&A briefly. I've done my contacts. Some of my guys already sent me messages from them. You know the vacancy. So, but I've done my contacts. So if there are any, I'm sure one or two of you, like Senior Dan said, we'll probably may be able to recruit one or two of you the brothers into the environment. That's why we are made. So I try as much as possible to don't go tell anyone. I try as much as possible to give preference to giants who come around or who are in Stanbic. I'm sure most of them are here, so they will tell you. We try to give them some. That's really why we network, really. Okay, so the last piece of my presentation is personal branding. This is really the entire session. The topic today was how do you manage a job search? It's a very, very complex environment. It is not easy. People get jobs and then they quit for a number of reasons. Either it's their fault or the fault of the employer. In Stanbic, we call something employee branding. And you can feel the energy and passion with which I describe what we do in Stanbic. I'm very proud of it. It is for that reason that in our environment, we promote a lot of employee brand, i.e., making sure that people are psychologically attached to the brand first. It's like saying, they will die for you. You love it so much. We are Tesco guys. We would die for GSTs. It's in our blood. It's the same thing. We are giants. We stand tall. That's our identity. The same thing translates in a job environment. your personal branding. I'm from GSTS. I'm a secretary. A lot of people in the office, they identify immediately. I'm a vendor. What the vendors, when they come, they know it's the same way. There's a certain characteristic of us that we exhibit, and it's as a result of how far we have come, how we have been developed, how we have been groomed. So personal branding can never be underestimated at all. It is something you identify not only when you start searching the job, applying for it, CV, before being called for interview. All those ones, they are mechanical, i.e., you can send CVs to 1,000 organizations. You can attend 100 interviews, you know, get 160. Okay? But what will make you get 100 jobs out of 100 interviews is your personal brand. Never joke with it. A lot of people underestimate it. A lot of people, and that's where I come back again with this thing. We invite people for interviews, they come in, whatever baby of overconfidence. It's almost like, oh, because I know this person will really the family. Guess what? We will fail you one time. Because we need to make sure that that brand that you are bringing in, that personal brand. Me, when I refer you a job and you go there and you don't get it, at least you don't go for my name. Because the point is that you need to make sure that everybody that Samuel K is referring to an organization should be able to come with a certain level of quality. That quality is your personal brand. Nobody can take that away from you. It's with you and will always be with you. It gives you a certain unique edge over everyone. I said earlier that in my first job interview, I was the most junior. I had no experience after national service. It was later in my head that the people I was sitting with, they were very, very senior HR people. Zero experience.
And you will still go to them all.
Yeah, we'll go, okay. See, my boss is at home. I'm almost there. These were people who had experience. But I came with a certain brand. I have tried as much as possible to groom people and coach a lot of my juniors who came after me. And you can see it's showing that some of my guys have left somewhere else and they had said, boss, this thing that I learned from you, or this thing that I gained is following me. That is a personal brand. Why is it important anyway? Your personal brand is something that promotes you. If you are going to search for a job, and I spend some time here, you're going to go for a job. It is not about the referral. It's not about the vacancy. It is not about your qualification. I repeat, these are what will make you stand out as an individual amongst everybody else. Remember, recruitment is just like any competition. There is no surety. There will be a first and there will be a last. Looking for a job or mastering the art of job search begins with your brand. There are times that we come across people and through the branding or the interaction, we would even ask, you know what, can you send your CV? Can I have your CV? This person hasn't applied for a job, but the kind of character, the kind of personality that they exhibit attracts even us, the HR people, to hunt you down. Not in the rest of us is, but to hunt you for that brand because we believe it adds to our ambition as an organization, our strategy, our vision. We want to succeed. We are also in competition. Every organization in the banking sector, we are competing with other banks. And I know some my investment bank guys are here as well. We are competing every day. So everybody is, and the market can be a bit saturated sometimes, but everybody is looking for the best. We have thousands and thousands of graduates who come out every day, every year from school. We want the cream of the crop. We want the best of the best. And how do you do that? You have to carry your brand. This is exactly what will stand you out. You need to stand tall. You need to be the best amongst the best. These are things that would differentiate your skill and your value from everyone else. If you drop your personal branding, hey, you can have all the job vacancies. You can have all the qualifications. Guess what? This is really the mastery. This is the mastery. If there's anything that you want to take from here today, this is what you need to do. What is the personal branding skills? What you really, when we say personal branding, what is it? There are 4 dimensions. In some texts, there are a lot more. And this is a presentation, so not too much of this here, but I won't call you too much text. Communication is key. How you communicate, how you impact other people. Sometimes we underestimate communication. It is the beginning of who you are. When you open your mouth, the first thing that comes out, or even if it's not, and even if it's a non-verbal communication, how you come across. I said earlier, people enter interview room, their demeanor, even when they say good afternoon, whatever it is, how they respond when we usher them into the interview room. It's the beginning of the communication. They can say this guy is just the best. Then we begin to, what happens is that we begin to have an impression about you, and what do we do? After we had that impression, then we need to break it down, make sure that we reinforce or verify that what we are saying is the same thing that's going to come out of your mouth. So if you come out communicating properly, we'll ask you questions about communication, making sure that really it reinforces our impression about you. Your networking. If you belong to a certain or if you remember I spoke about association and affiliation. If you belong to a certain circle or your network is in a certain area, okay, and then I was tempted to say something, I would say maybe after the course. Not politics, I mean. If you belong to a certain network, it can be your favor or not your favor. So imagine you go somewhere, see me, I'm this, I'm that, and then people go on the panel. They are not that. So what do they do? So your network should be professional first of all, but should be one that will have to create and maintain relationships. Don't compromise on it. A lot of people are aware. The person you see today, maybe the next person will have to send the light tomorrow. Your networking. You enter a room, and the person you see in that interview room was the same person you were insulting in the car park. I went to Ghana Police Service to do my police reference. And as soon as I got there was a guy who says, I'm going for lunch. This is the first time I've seen this. Guess what? The guy saw me and said, Master, they call lunch. The police did. This was no offense to the policeman on the call. So the guy closed the door. They were doing a police criminal check. So he said he's going for lunch. So I had to go back to the office. As soon as I go to the top, and then the security man goes and says, there's somebody here wants to see anybody from HR. You see where this is going? Not knowing the guy, make one lunch. He was sending his TV to snap it. And I was the one who was sitting. When he came there, and the HR person was called, and I came off. This is the guy. So when he was taking me to his office, that may call lunch, he was carrying his CV to a bank to apply for a job. And yet he has sent me to his office. It's like something, everybody, what you doing? He was bringing his CV to stand back. So as soon as I came out, he looked at me and said, do I know you? I said, you know me, ma. You know me. I am the one who was in the office right now. You know what? The guy gave me my criminal check in 5 minutes. as soon as he gave me the CV, I'm like, connected this thing. I'm very professional. So I connected the CV. He said, so, wait, you give me your details. I mean, I'm sitting there, he got my reference. He was good at the network, but he nearly lost it. If I was somebody, the way he treated me, I would have also said, Master Fiako, I'm not going to see, but I was very nice to him. He ran away to go and bring my criminal check report from my employer. You see, I got. So, and then we built a network. Up till today, we're still there. If there's anybody who needs help at the Ghana Police Service, I will call him. That is how you create and maintain relationships. Never underestimate the power of this particular one. You will enter a place, and these are the people that you will meet. The people that have a network with, the places where you meet people, and you've seen them in places, schoolmates, seniors. This networking, they will get you far, but they can also break you if you do not maintain them professionally. Next is values. Now, your core values. Now, fortunately for us in Ghana, we have very consistent core values across the nation, and a lot of people, we have a lot of things in common. So it's not very often that you see varying values exhibited by people, although there are some you see. When I was in South Africa, for example, it's a motivational environment. So you get the whites coming across with certain things. You get the Chinese guys were there, the South Africans themselves. You get some of them being racist here and there. It was very inconsistent. You get some of the indigents also, with certain perceptions about foreigners, and you realize the value systems was a little bit different. But in organizations, what we try to do is to, at least on the very baseline, give or make sure we reinforce a certain value system, regardless of where you land yourself, you should be able to survive. Now, your values also describe your thinking. It also describes your way of life. It also describes who you really are. Your personal branding, how you shape up, what you believe in, how you exhibit it. There was a guy who was our collector, solid guy. We were in the office and he was brought by the police. Now, this guy, he's a collector. He's going to collect money from a customer who was owing the bank. Then go beat the customer. Then he says, so for him, that's how they collect money. I was like, listen, we hear you, but that's not the way we do things here. So the value system, but in his mind, if he come to you and no pay, will beat you. Okay, so these are value systems that people exhibit, sometimes in favor or not in favor, but at least there are some basic ones that you should always be known for. Honesty, integrity, hard work, teamwork, respect. Very, very basic things. Some people are very disrespectful. There are some people who do not have integrity. There's some people who just will not even acknowledge diversity. Some people are just going to write you off. They speak condescendingly to you. They rubbish everyone in their path, in their office, just because they have a certain value system. It will not work in your personal branding. Maybe not in an environment where you want to work. Maybe you belong to a certain cult where they do that. But to be able to survive with a personal brand, this is number one. Lastly, you need to have something peculiar. There should be something special about you. What really defines you? What are you good at? What's your specialty? What makes you unique? How do you stand tall? If you see yourself as everybody else, well, you'll be seen the same way. But if you see yourself standing tall, well, you'll be seen tall. Next, what are those personal branding strategies? You see, there's no need having a personal brand if nobody knows you. If you have a personal brand, show it. A lot of people, and I think Ghanaians in particular, majority of the population, they think that when you show off or you are trying to exhibit what you are, they think you're arrogant. No. There's arrogance, but there's also confidence. So you go and be confident, but not overly confident to be arrogant. There's a thin line. Now, one of the ways they can do this is by social media. It's a lot of people till today, you and I know, there are people who are brand ambassadors, for example, on the internet, social media, and Facebook, Instagram, brand ambassadors. That's exactly how they do their brand. It's the same thing. So you'll be identified with a certain account. It could be Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. You'll be issuing articles, you'll be speaking on certain hot topics, you'll be exhibiting thought leadership. These are things that begin to define you in the media. A lot of people know a lot of stuff, but they never share. What I'm doing is part of building my personal brand. You have an expertise, I have an exposure, I'm sharing it with my schoolmates, for example. I'm sharing it with people who may or would even extend it. That is how you build a personal brand. When Senior said, come and do this, I would have said, well, you know what? No, I do this in public. That's not your personal brand. If you have a personal brand and you are keeping it in your closet, nobody gets to see. We have somebody who used to write and then And when you finish the apple, as soon as you finish the wrapper, you put it in the right there, you lock it in. There is a wrapper. So if you don't have presence, if you do not exhibit it, if you do not expose yourself well enough, there is no meaning to that personal brand. Nobody gets to know who you are. Next is selling that expertise. There is no need also going out there, exhibiting who you are, but staying there, it won't come to you. You will need to make a conscious effort to sell it. Let people know what you are good at. Let people be interested in wanting to learn something from you. These two areas, or how you build a strategy, are reinforced by two things. Standing out. So this means that if you have a lot of people who have your expertise, how do you? Because guess what? It is very common these days to have a lot of people with the same qualities. So it's important to be unique, stand out, stand tall. We recruit people, they come. There are times that we interview about 10, 20 people, none of them will be different. They come as if they are giving themselves a pop. They all come in the same answers. When they go out, we say, we catch it all the time. So nobody comes here with a certain uniqueness. You need to stand out in a world where things are very rapidly changing, in a world where personal branding can be your doom, but can also be your success. You need to stand out, stand tall. Also, building trust. A lot of people have destroyed a very beautiful personal brand due to mistrust. They lie, they are dishonest, they go around telling people that they are something they are not. You know what? That integrity, they always say, everything, you can lose everything as a man, but not your integrity. You will be doomed. Everybody gets to say that you lied on something. If you don't have it, don't go say you have it. We have seen senior people, executives, who later in their career, something comes out, we get to know that they had lied some time ago about something that they did not do. They are not getting. So this strategy, if you don't watch it, you are where you are. We're almost done, guys. This is marketing. So again, back to this slide here. If you have to sell yourself or market yourself, what are the things that you need to do? Again, don't go out there thinking that you are being arrogant. No. There's a difference between marketing yourself and being arrogant. They are there. You know that you are being arrogant. Now, it's very important to note a couple of things. Number one, branding these days is competition. It is not in isolation. You are competing. So, if you have a certain identity, you need to improve on it consistently. If you have an expertise, you'll be there and they'll come pass you by. You need to consistently upgrade yourself, learn, read, explore, engage, research, build a brand that is up to date. You should be interested in modern trends. You don't have a brand and go and sit in your room and wait for people to come for you. You go into an interview only to realize that you didn't even know there was a new theory in human behavior. Or you go there, you are shown a certain statistics, and you're like, oh, I didn't check. You see, that's why it's important that in this world of competition, you are expected to consistently. It's not negotiable. Otherwise, you'll be exposed consistently. Improve yourself, update yourself, spend time to build your knowledge base and your expertise. The next is the fact that everyone will have what you also have. So, what is that uniqueness? You see, what is that uniqueness? We have a lot of people who copy each other. When I was in school, campus, for example, so the banders on the call, okay, those going to my class, you will know. See, a lot of people will come from my notes, for example. They'll come and copy your notes. But many times, I give up my notes. I write it letting me there will be one that I was mine. So why just in terms of I give you a notes, I will copy or go and photocopy. There's something that I'll keep. That one is mine. That is the one that would make me unique. That is the apple that I will put in my back pocket. So when you are out there, don't always be thinking about the common trends. Look for that thing that will stand you out. Just that one thing. That's one thing that will stand you out. I'm not saying go around making fool of yourself. I'm not saying go around going to disturb somebody or making noise. Even for exposure is fine, but as long as it doesn't fit your culture. Okay. Just so you know, I'm the okay, so there's a few peculiar things about me which I'll explain here. Number one, in Stanbic, for example, I am the number one person in this organization. We'll be here for 26 years. So I am the singular person in the organization with 1,300 employees who have started from the bottom all the way to the top. So I came in as national service. I'm at ESCO now. I'm the only person who has done that. All the colleagues at ESCO, either they came from somewhere or they were at some point in the bank. But the only person who started from down to the top is me. Very unique. Nobody else. I was telling my boss the other day that I hope that title, maybe if I list that because of my title. Another thing, another thing to note. I was the youngest ESCO member in the organization. I think I still am. No, Mr. Nisong, I can't take that title. But I was the youngest on it at a point. So you realize that, oh, they have something which are unique. If I went for an interview and I told them about my career, they wonder, how did you do it? How is it that everybody in ESCO would have to go somewhere, but you did started from here all the way? It was as if the ground was laid for me, but I had to work hard for it. Okay, these are peculiarities. I am the only head official, for example, in the entire Ghana here who wear dreadlocks. Those who have seen me, for example, so we have a staff event and I wear dreadlocks. And they're like, this guy there. But guess what? It's unique. If anybody go wear that thing and you can give it my me, I'm the boss, so I can't. I wear my dreadlocks and go for staff events, and they're like, now these are the things. Something should make you unique. I'm not saying go do Rasta guys, but something should make you unique. Lastly, if you build a certain personal brand, please try not to go over the top. So guess what? Somebody comes in for an interview and they have a certain brand and we praise it. At the item of, let's say, salary, what they want to say, I want to be paid times 10. Okay, who does that? So don't go do it over the top. Know your limitations. Know what you can and what you cannot do. Don't be over the top for the sake of it. If you can't, don't try. But if you say you would, do it. But if you cannot, don't go and say something you cannot do. We have a lot of people who come in very, very confident. They do a lot of things, but only to realize after 6 months on the job. Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to skills, okay, so remember from the last course here, when you have been a personal brand in the corporate world, these are the 4 areas. If you have these, you're done. Your technical skills, leadership skills, behavioral skills, and be a specialist. If you have any specialization, if you're a generalist, it's fine. But these areas should never be missing in your personal brand. What do you do? What are you good at? Are you a leader? What are the qualities of a leader? What have you done? How are you mentoring people? How are you coaching employees? What are the things that stand out in your behavior? What uniqueness do you bring? If you do it easy, but you can't stand out your personal brand, you don't get any of these 4 areas. And if you're missing these 4 areas, always remember to pick out those things that stand out. So if you have a first degree and they say your qualification, you say first degree. If you think you're first class, it. Because everybody has first degree. So if you say first degree, I came out to the first class. I have it. That is what will stand you out. If you say you have 80 years with experience or 20 years with experience, if there was something unique, add it because everybody else may have that experience. Okay, if you're a leader, what are those things that you do that give you a certain mark? Share your successes. Make sure you sell that brand. Because there is nothing like a personal brand. That is the mastery. This is the mastery. This is exactly what you need to get out of this session today. Okay, so finally, brand yourself. And I think I'll belabor the point quite enough, so I'll skip this. But just to say that the only thing important for you when you look for a job is a personal brand. Trust me. All the others, they are available to you. You find them posted all over. This is something that you have to build yourself. The rest, you have access to systems. You see them there. You have access to text. You can read them. You can search for the job online, LinkedIn, everywhere. This one is something you have to do yourself. There will be jobs. There are people who are recruiters. They will search for the job for you. There are people who are posting job adverts. Your friends will forward to you. I share many of them when I have them. But this one, you have to do it yourself. Brand yourself. Nobody will brand you. Brand yourself. So as I bring my session to an end, I just want to say this, that it is a journey. I'm not saying it will be easy. Some may have it easy, some will have it very difficult. But in any case, you should not lose sight of one thing. When you're approaching a job search, it's not for the fun of it. A lot of people who look for jobs do it for various reasons: money, job, career, association, riches, meaningfulness, be independent, anything you want. But they will never come easy. Meaning that you should have an emotional and mental connection with it. That is what will strengthen your resolve, okay, to persevere, your resolve to push on, your resolve to stand out. There should be a trigger. There should be something that will make you master your game. You have to be a master of your own game. Don't go being a jack of all trades. You need something that will make you unique and stand out. It is a competition. It's a very huge world out there. I know there's a lot of people here. This topic has been due to you for one reason or the other. Why you may be unemployed, you may be looking for a job, you're looking for tips, you're looking for anything here. I tell them. But guess what? It begins with yourself. Thank you very much, Janice.
Stanto.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. President, you are here. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm in a car, but thank you so much, Giant Tay, for. I think this is a masterclass on how to find a job, how to brand yourself, and get ready for the job market. Thank you. I think I'm going to book you for next year. This should be this should be a yearly a program that we do for our upcoming giants, especially, but any other giant who is on the job market looking for a job. I'll hand over back to Giant Daniel to moderate the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, President.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Giant Tay. At this juncture, we'll ask for questions. If you have a question, kindly raise your hand. I think the button for that is somewhere down there. You can raise your hand and then we'll call you to ask your question. Thank you very much. Giant Ishmael, please go ahead.
Okay. My question is, let's say you are a first degree holder and then you are searching for a job and you have been called for interview. And then at a point, then you have been asked, so how much salary do you want to be paid? Please, how do you answer such a question? Because like you said earlier, sometimes because there's no job, we are being forced by the circumstances to say some things that will not help us. So we don't actually know what we should mention, and sometimes we will end up mentioning something that is below standard, and the employer will see us as not serious.
Yeah, no, this is a question of the ages. I knew this would come out, but always. I'll answer it to the best experience. So my boss told me that he said that he went for a job interview and then he was asked the same question. And then he said, so this as an example, he said he he was expecting, let's say, 5,000 cedis. And then the panel members were like, really? And then he said, oh, but it's negotiable. And they said, okay, we hear you. So when he saw their demeanor, he thought they meant the 5K was about to pay. So he said, oh, even the 5K is negotiable. And then he left. So he was told that he got a job. And then the one who told him they got a job said, we are prepared to offer you 10,000. He was like, wow, so I asked for 5, I've been giving 10. This is like Christmas. So happy. But he got a job as HR head. HR manager. So when he went in there, he had access to the salaries and files of people. So he opened the file of his predecessor. Only to realize that the predecessor was earning 30,000. So he mentioned an amount, and then he thinks it's small. He's even prepared to negotiate 5K. He was giving 10K, and it was over the top for him. He was so excited. Only to realize that even the one who was there was taking 30K. What I'm trying to say here is for their levels, okay, of these interviews. Normally, ideally, for junior roles, we don't ask those questions. If it's a so I'm hearing you and I'm almost saying this may be something the region of an officer will do. Normally, because they are operational jobs, they are below tactical or strategic levels. We don't ask those. But if you are asking, the reason is that if all operational jobs have a certain characteristic, so it's routine, the outcomes are the same. They are routine jobs. They are supervised by a certain number of transactions or productivity. We don't ask those questions because we would give you at a level, pay you at a level. Normally, those questions are asked from a tactical to a strategic goal. Those questions are asked to gauge your expectation. The new trend is that we have stopped asking in interviews. Why? We would take your current salary and then prepare an offer for you. Sometimes we will call you and also gauge. We understand the challenge you are mentioning. It is the same reason we have stopped doing that. So, new trend is that in a serious organization, or most serious organization, the trend is that they're stopping those questions. They will not ask you those questions. If it's an officer job, you'll be paid what is due because of the level. But if it's a strategic job like a manager upwards, we will ask you that question in an interview. But just so they do. Remember I said earlier that when you're going for an interview, you have to prepare. You don't want to be over the top, you don't want to be below it. Well, if you pass an interview, normally, whatever you're mentioning, okay, that's not necessarily determine how much you paid. However, and because I'm not seeing any organization really not pick somebody because of the mentioned amounts. They gauge what you are earning and they will add some. However, there are some basic things that you should try and do. So the same way you go asking, sometimes people do their homework. So the same way you go asking what does this job entail, how do you do your things, what are your grading system, what are your management levels, what are the reporting lines, what are your benefits. Sometimes you can ask those questions, but ideally it should not be the case that you ask. But if you're asked, you have to research on it. Sometimes if I'm not sure, and I will say just your sincerity begins in the interview. Those questions are non-scoring. So if they ask you and you are not sure, tell them you have to talk about it, or you have no idea, or you have not just planned for that. But if you do and say something that you are not sure, or something that you are afraid of, then you find you shoot yourself in the foot. It's always about honesty. You have candidates who will say, you know what, I never thought about it. You have candidates who will say, you know what, I did the research and this is how much I feel. They are non-score. Nobody would disqualify you for answers to those questions. When we are unable to pick you, it's not because of what you mentioned, it's because of what you may be earning at that point. So if we are paying 5K and your current salary is 10K, obviously we can't attract you. But if we are paying, who are collecting 5K, we are paying you 10, we know that with this one you will get it. So they are non-score. Nobody feels an interview with those ones unless you and I go there and attempt to oversell yourself. That's what I'm saying. That the best approach, if you be honest with them, I haven't checked it, or I didn't do that homework. Nobody disqualifies you for that. But if you're not honest and you go and because you have been asked that question, you want to formulate something, sometimes you just get to see because there may be probing questions. You say if I then you say you did your homework. Okay, how much do you pay this people? Then they'll catch you. Or what grade is the job? Oh, I don't know. But if you don't know, how did you get to know that we pay this a lot? So you now even go and fight for yourself. So brother, I think that the if it's a junior job, we don't ask. Most organizations don't ask anybody. But if you're asked and you're honest, just tell them what you expect or what you have done homework on. If you don't have anything, be honest with them. Nobody disqualifies or will mark you down for answers to questions like that.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
Giant Aite Ajin.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Giant Tay. So my question is, for instance, I'm currently teaching. I want to move into the tech space because I discovered I love tech. And so I've done some courses, I've done some projects. The question is, it looks a bit difficult right now. Typically, I want to do something. I'm into data science and data analytics and business analytics. But you see, most of the job postings are now more of outside. They are out of the country. And you know, their culture is different. And how they do things is different. And so I'm getting a lot of rejections in my applications. It can be depressing. Like, how do you manage that switch from being teaching math to being a data analyst or data scientist?
Yeah. I'll start
by saying let me add one more question. There's a question in the text column. It says, should interviewees always be in suit? So let's add that and then we can take both of them. Giant.
Thank you. Anyway, so you know, there's a question that where there's still a saying that it's never too late to do what you want to do. You know, I believe you may hear that thing. Then they will say, oh, you can do whatever you want, even when you get to 60 and you want to do this way. That's not always the case. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're in a certain profession and you want to shift in terms of career, I did mention earlier a couple of things. Number one, there are limitations, yes, and there are some factors that will affect that. They may come in terms of accessibility, funding, like I say, access, meaning that there are programs that you'll not find in Ghana. If you find it elsewhere, they're expensive. There are also, you may be limited also sometimes even prerequisites. So you need a certain, you have an interest, but you have a certain background, and then there's a hindrance. So you want to do it outside in Ghana, it's expensive also. It's not too common here. Anyway, that is actually the challenge. Okay, that is the challenge. It's for the reason that a lot of organizations or a lot of institutions offer certain help to students like that. So, for example, you could apply for a scholarship. For example, if it is, so Stanbic, if you want to do something like that, we can sponsor you and we'll fund you. So if I decide tonight I want to go into to being a full investment banker, now the organization Stanbic can decide to pay for me, okay, if you're talent, and then we'll fund you. So we spend money on you and then we'll fund you. A lot of the time, you see that finances or accessibility, that's the common one I'm seeing. You will not have the program here. If it's outside too, it's expensive. If you don't have to stop pursuing, honestly. Sometimes people give up because the resources are just not available. If it's a dream that you really want to do, I think let's connect. Okay, let's connect after this session. There are counselors or there are some peculiarities that we can discuss, and I can then provide avenues where you can have them. So, for example, we do a graduate training program for data scientists. And we have data engineers that we recruit every year that we send them to South Africa for data engineering certification. There are times that we also recruit, so that this year we had 10 data graduates, we had 10 tech graduates. They are on graduate training program. We advertise it, but I'm not sure when any of you applied. So some of these we do make available. I can also then connect you to where you can access resources to do the either funding or just access to search opportunities there for you. So I cannot give really a direct answer because these are the factors that make it difficult. You know, a lot of people are just frustrated by some of these factors. It's not there. If it's there, you can pay. And if it's out there to you shouldn't even get frustrated if you need the visa process. Somebody will get a scholarship, but struggling to get money for evening ticket, or struggling to get money or steady leave to the organizations. We would come in, we counsel you, we see where your support will lie. I can connect you with scholarship boards and even organizations where they do this. And then I think that we can do something, but it's not as easy. I cannot sit here and tell you that go and do this for you to go, because the factors are wide. You know, some people in this struggle, there's money, there is money, there is resources, but they're still struggling to get admission for one reason or the other. Some also get schools in one touch, they get it. So it's not peculiar, but they are factors that these are realities, really. And that's what I mentioned. They are the ones that put across first that it's not easy. I won't sit here and lie to you. It's not easy. There are people who have their admission. So today, they can't still go. There are those who also don't want to resign in the organizations that also not provide them with steadily. Because if you do, you lose your job. But some need a steady leave to continue taking care of their families and themselves, even to pay fees. So they cannot quit. Because if they quit, the labor is gone. But they also want to upgrade. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, honestly. And that's why we have some of these bodies who support. I know, for example, Talo does a similar one. Every year they recruit a number of people, they send them to UK. We train them. It's not for free, it's scholarship. We do too. You know, again, there are other avenues that we can explore. So maybe I can connect with you after the session so we can do one-on-one. There was the other one. If you can remind me.
Yeah, there. So about suits. The other question is about whether interviewees should wear suits.
Okay, yeah. You know, this common trend. So there are some things that are of age, to be honest. Okay, some organizations. So again, it tells you the exposures. Okay, when I was in SA, for example, we don't even wear tie to the office. It's only for the front lines. Ghana is suit. I think ideally, so you look at your environment. If I attend an interview in South Africa, for example, they don't care whether you're wearing t-shirts. But you look at your environment and you do like what? It's a norm. It's a norm, and it is a practice. So it's best practice. Nobody puts dress code in a job application. Okay. Even when we put the job, we don't really specify that when you are coming, go and wear this. There are times when, for example, we interview on a Friday, people will call and say, but Friday we will do Africa wear. So should I come in suit to Africa wear? We will let you know. I think the safest, whether it's a social job or it is an office job or a blue collar job, I think in my recommendation, the safest is to do a suit. My recommendation. If you go, so it's better to get in the suit than not. So in some interviews, we would ask you that, Master, today's Friday, remove the tie. It's part of our way of breaking the ice. Let the candidate be very comfortable. So I would say, listen, we are sitting here, we all wear, I wear this on Friday. So we are dressed now. You come in suit. We'll let you relax. Come on the tie, let's talk. But there are some places, based on the exposure, we are multinational, so we are not too fussy. But there are some places, as soon as you enter with no type, trouble come. So to be safe, please you wear the suit. Even if it's a Sunday or a Saturday, wear the suit. Even if it's a manufacturing, you wear a suit. If it's an office, you wear a suit. It's the safest you can take. If you go and the thing is over the top, we would ask you to remove the suit, or I can ask, I'm the head of HR, I can say, be comfortable, remove your tie and the suit. And sometimes it lets the candidate relax. But if in my recommendation, the baseline, you wear suit. It's better to save than sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any more questions?
I'll leave my contact as well, like I said. So if there are any personal ones you can connect after the call, I'll be available for that as well.
Hello. Good evening. I have a question.
Giant Nyamadi, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much. So it has been a very insightful and impactful presentation, and I've really learned a lot. Please, my question is, I have two questions actually. So first and foremost, I would like to find out, sometimes you go for interviews and they ask for previous experience. As a fresher from the university, and after your internship and all that, but basically that would be your previous experience. However, some jobs require maybe a year or two on job or that particular profession, experience. So if such question is being posed to you, how do you answer it? And then secondly, there are some people that are very good, when it comes to the job. However, expressing themselves during interview is a very big challenge. And so, as you said, in your presentation, there are other means of assessing a candidate for a particular job, aside, your communication and all that. There are other avenues as well. But in such situation, if you find yourself in that box, how do you convince the panel that, this particular job, I could do it, but how to express myself is actually my challenge or something that I'm really working at or dealing with as at that moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Yamadi. In fact, I think I'll take the last one first. And I like the way you ended it. If we interviewed you and you said what you just said, we would pick you. Why? So you see, actually, interviewing is the beginning of your employment sometimes, because it's like any relationship. What the first impression, okay, which you may not get a second chance for, is the beginning of your employment. That is the foundation of the relationship. So every employment relationship is between an organization and a person, which is sealed by a contract. So that's your employment letter. And then there are conditions. The interaction, the kind of agreement that would have to come into, that will put a letter to it and appoint you, it's started at the interviewing stage, where you have that connection between the person. There are people who come in and actually do say what you just said, to say, I'm somebody who is just not too good or over the top in terms of this. And I'll answer this in two parts. So you can say that if that fits. But you see, in a very dynamic environment, not every organization are also aligned with best practice to date. So what tends to happen is that, because we are aware that there are candidates who may struggle with how to express themselves, we have split the requirement into three parts. So there is an assessment piece, and it depends on the level of the job. So if it's a junior job, we'll do an assessment aptitude test, for example, if it's a junior program. And then the next stage would be psychometrics. So the aptitude tests are usually the logic and stuff, something like 100. But then you do the logic and stuff which comes in the aptitude test, the assessment itself, psychometrics, and then interview. What we tend to do, if you have 100 candidates, we use the first two to sieve out. So we realize that on the reverse, if we did it the other way around, where interview came first, we get people who come. And they will not be bad, but when we went to do the aptitude test and the assessment, we failed. So we flip it because we also want the brightest. So if we end up with people who can talk, and then you go and assess them and they fail the test, we realize that no, well, that wasn't working. So because we want the right ones. So we would, and we are aware that that limitation may be on some students. So we flip it. We do the assessment first, the aptitude test first, and then we do the assessment psychometrics before you land interview. So what tend to happen is, really, by the time you come and we are speaking to you, you have demonstrated something solid. We will know if you are just not too good at expressing themselves. So unless the job is specific. So if you went for a PR job or a marketing job, it is a requirement. You can't go and say that I can't talk. So those jobs, you don't have an option. Again, I did mention earlier that as you climb the corporate ladder, the requirements at the bottom are the way, but as you go up, certain things begin to fall into place and they become a requirement. So if you're coming from a managerial job, at that job, you are expected to be able to engage employees, even if you don't go around doing speeches, and it's your staff. So it's a requirement. It's there, communication skills. So if you come to an interview for that job, and it is part of their requirements, unfortunately, it will be a problem. So if you are coming from a managerial job and one of the requirements about communication, and you know who assess you at the interview, I think my recommendation, do something about it. We have people who go for courses on public speaking before they come for interviews. We have people who go for coaching. They will tell you body language, tone, pitch, voice level, everything before you come. Because the person knows I have the limitation. So you're going to pay for it. There is nothing that can't be learned. Even if the person comes and we realize that they have to learn it in the part interview, we probably will prefer that than the one who won't talk at all. And luckily for us these days, there are a lot of tools available. I'm going to the internet and I'm sure Senator will interview on how to do because I just went to some about there, but when we get to the job, I can't do it. So what really happens is that people go in, read about it, okay, where your limitation is, you match the job. If you know that job is a requirement for communication, ask yourself before you come. If it is not requirement, you will know. But if it is, you have the requirement, so it's there. We need you for this job. We need good communication skills. We will not pardon you if it's a requirement, and you can't say, "Well, it's a requirement too," but I'm not good at talking at interview. That one means that we'll look for a job that you don't talk. Again, if it's something that is not a requirement, you will know. And there are some jobs like the specialist. We don't even spend 15 minutes at the interview because we are looking at what they can do. We give them a scenario, credit paper, investment paper, they write it, they get it, they go and do some deal, and they will pass. They don't even talk. So it depends on the job, Mr. Yamadi. Then the other one of previous experience. So again, back to the requirements. If it is a requirement, now guess what? And I think I don't know what I mentioned this earlier. Every job that is posted starts, if you are interested, the first thing is to understand that I'm going to do. Never take anything for granted. The job requirement, there are 3 phases of every job: the job purpose, the title, and the requirements. Other things like abilities and those ones, they are preferred. But the job requirements are key. So if we put it as a job requirement, it will be 10 to 4. So if we need you with a certain experience, number one, I'm not sure why you'll be called for an interview if you don't have that previous experience. So if we need somebody with a certain experience, instead we'll not even invite you. But if we don't invite you, that means that it's not necessarily a requirement. But even if it is, we may compensate that with something else. So we want an HR person, but the person has to psychology. So what happens? We can say, well, the number of experience in HR department that the person has spent. Even though the person did not do HR as a course, we can compensate for it. But as long as it's a requirement, if his previous experience required, it will be checked for. So, first of all, if you are coming for that interview, it means that you have it. Because you will not be called for the interview if you didn't meet that requirement. But granted, it's a general rule. I think that if that is a challenge, your personal brand will come there. You see, like I said earlier, when you are going and you also know certain limitations, you need to develop some context. So when you are good at, you tell them. So you make sure that when you are good at, you have candidates who come and say, I don't know this, but you can do it. You can clearly see they have interest, they are willing, they are trainable, they are showing great potential. If the panel is convincing enough, we'll pick you. Trust me, we'll pick you. But if it's a requirement and it's a previous experience, and we say we need 10 years experience, we will not invite you if you have 5. If we invite you, then it's not a requirement. And what that is that it gives you an advantage. So previous experience is there. If it's a requirement, it's a requirement. But if it's not a requirement and you get there and they say, oh, we can still pick you without such requirements, it can happen. Again, this is a very dynamic point. Organizations are different. In Stanbic, we will never call you for an interview when we see that you don't have it in your CV already. Because then what are we going to ask you? We need 5 years banking experience. You don't have it. We won't invite you for an interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Dan Jogoto. You have the floor.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. It's a very interesting program. I've really enjoyed, but I came in very late. But this is my problem. I have a checkered education system. I have construction, I have IT, and also I'm a teacher. And they have a master's in IT from UCC, of which I want to develop. I want to, go further into that. So I'm confused as to which area should I go. I'm also into data and a lot of stuff. So I'm confused. Can I get some support? Who do I contact and how? Any resources that I can sort to at least help me in my going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Welcome to the club. Without plenty I wanted to do. It can be confusing. I'm still considering my hip life career. I think this one, since it's a bit personal, I'm also a licensed career. I provide career counseling, so maybe we can connect so we can have a one-on-one. I do career counseling as well, so maybe I can.
Okay, I'll be grateful.
Yeah,
I'll be grateful if you can.
Yeah, I'll provide you with some career counseling.
Okay, thank you very much.
Giant, Sir Charles.
Yes, please. Good evening, guys.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. So I have one question that I want a clarity. So basically, I'm a lab scientist by profession, and I'm working at a private facility now, and I manage one of their branches. But the thing is that the salary is not really good, and my boss says the time that maybe like if you are demanding something from him, for him what he's interested in is only the money, but he doesn't really, in a way, he doesn't really care about, let's say, like the welfare of his people. And here's the case that I want to look for a different facility so that I can go and work it, where my expertise and everything is just taken into consideration and I will be paid accordingly. So my question is that this is the situation that I have. So in me applying for jobs in other facilities, is it appropriate for me to include, let's say, currently where I am working in my CV, or I shouldn't include it in my CV? Because I'm thinking that probably in case I should include it and they should contact my boss about maybe like me looking for opportunity. My boss will be thinking, okay, so you want to leave us, okay, and probably he also wouldn't want me to move. So I don't really know whether he will say something good about me for me to get the job at the other facility or not. So I want to find out, will it be appropriate for me to include where I'm currently working in my CV, or I shouldn't include it in my CV? Thank you very much.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I lost the latter part of it. My network dropped briefly.
Giant Jogoto, If you can repeat the latter part of your submission.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. No, I was saying that I want to know whether I should include where I'm currently working in my service for the application that I want to apply to different facilities, or I shouldn't really include it in my CV. That's what I want to know.
So you're asking whether you can put that experience in your CV or not?
Yes, I want to. I want to know whether I should put it in my CV or I shouldn't put it in my CV.
Okay, so okay, so no, ideally, if you have so this is this is data science on part, okay, and I say that because there's somebody who can do even a week's job or a project and represent
Sorry,
somebody.
I'm not really hearing you. All. Sorry, I'm not really hearing you.
Okay, so I was saying that okay, you know what? Let's do it this way. Maybe it will be good for me to go through with you on your CV so I can review and then show you. But what I wanted to say is that when it comes to including things in your CV or not, it's a bit relative, okay? Because I've seen people amend. You see, when you're applying for a job, it's part of your focus. So it's important that you let the salient parts of your job show themselves. If I apply for an engineering job, I'll be a bit more deliberate on highlighting my engineering background. If I'm going for an HR job, I highlight those ones. So it depends on the job that you are going to do and also the relevance in terms of the requirement. There are also people who think that, oh, this one I only spent 1 month. It's not necessary. You never know. That may be what will be the selling point. So try as much as possible. There's nothing like being over the top when it comes to the CV. Just don't repeat. There's nothing like an over the top CV. Just don't repeat. So somebody will say, I have this, but they will repeat again in that's too much text. But when it comes to CV, you are better off not because you don't know which one would.
Please.
There are times that there's a perception, especially in the environment. There's a perception that when people don't put it in their CV, they are trying to dodge something. So I think I'm saying that there are times that people leave things out of their CV. Some employers will think that you are doing that to hide something. Some are deliberate, some are not deliberate. I would prefer a CV that captures your total everything. It's a qualification, put it, because you don't know, that may be the trigger for you. Unless it's extremely irrelevant, you can take it out. But there is nothing really like an over the top CV, as long as you don't repeat. So you say the same thing like 3 or 5 times, that's too much text. But if you have an experience, put it there. If you have a qualification, put it there. Don't take it out because you don't know which one would help you.
Okay, great. So there's a question in the text column. It says, please, do you also help students get internships? And what sort of behavior is expected of an intern in a company?
I think I should begin to. I think I should begin to give a quota to GSTS guys are in the office. I'll block a slot for GSTS people when it comes to internship, but we pick them all the time. At least I have some small power there to so if there's anyone who wants internship. But when it comes to internship, for us, it's the beginning of your corporate world. Okay, it's the fundamental experience that anyone gets, so that by the time they come back for national service, you have started some good behavior there. So we do have a structured internship program, which comes with a selection process. It's not comprehensive too much. We don't waste too much time interview, no. But at least there are some requirements that we get. And because we are a bank, we require very basic regulatory things like your references. So we get people who come and say, I am in this school. When we write to the school, they said, oh, the person is not there. So meanwhile, the person has got a letter that they are already in the school. So we do those tests. And the next one is criminal check. Because we are a bank, you may be a thief somewhere and go and come. So we do criminal checks as well. The behaviors, we have a code of conduct that you have to go by, and we let you sign some requirements like code of secrecy, confidentiality, code of ethics, our values. We have a structured internship induction program. At the end of the internship program, you are assessed. Okay, your line manager, wherever you came to do, you'll be assessed. You put in a report, and they assess you, so you'll be rated. For some of the schools, they needed that you take it back to university for them to know. Some just get a letter that I was here, I did internship. But we have a structured internship program where we would assess you, okay, and then give you feedback, okay, and whether your conduct is satisfactory or not. You take it to the school. But again, we keep that in our database. So if you came to do internship and you came to do some running, and then you come back, oh no. There are times that people have tried that. They came to do national service, behavior wasn't good. They go, they find some job eventually, they apply one day. We'll pick it up that you were here during national service, you were not good. So we'll pick it up. So I think that if it's the entry point, I would just recommend that you could have the best behavior. But we have a structured program that will control that. And there are people that we have dismissed only 1 week after internship. Only just 1 week. So he got the internship, and then within 1 week, he would drink and come. So I was like, this is not school. So the manager reported him, this is internship level 300. He'll go and drink and come. So, and meanwhile, it's the back. So after 1 week, we dismissed him and sent a letter to the school. So because it's the beginning of your working career, we take it very serious. We don't cut you any slack. If you mess around, okay with it. But again, because it's also the beginning, we help you develop, so we advise you, and then we give you all the necessary support to grow your career.
Splendid. So there's another question here, and I think may probably take 2 more, and then we call it a day. So there's one here which says, please, you said jobs mostly are advertised. Where can we see these job opportunities?
Yeah. So there are platforms. I know. I've been there. Hey, it's been a while since I've been forwarding some to Senior. He's been forwarding to the platforms. They are all over. Websites, LinkedIn, everywhere. There are million websites that you can search. The good thing is that because they have very sophisticated search engines, you can do a search engine and then narrow down what you require. So anytime there is a post, you get an email stating that. I would also, if it's me in particular, our place in particular, we have a career website where you go there, you register, and then you share your interests. Anytime there's a vacancy, we will send you an email and then advise that there is a job available. If you're interested, send your CV. Again, because you would have already registered with your details, if a job comes up and then we pick up your details on our career website, we can invite you because we already have your database. So when you register on our database, if there is a role that we advertise, the system itself will begin to pick people who are registered and have that interest. And we will see those ones. There are times that we contact people and they will say, oh, but I sent my CV like 2 years ago. Yes, we have it. And if the job comes, we'll call you. There are times that we feel people through that mix and they're like, oh, I never knew that you cut my CV. We do that. But the rest are all over the place. WhatsApp, I've been forwarding a lot of them to Senior. Most of them are on LinkedIn and all these the recruiters. There's a lot of the recruiters, PwC, Zomelo Associates. There are international recruiters also for the senior people who would also pick your details and they'll call you.
Marvelous. Sir Charles, do you have another question? Otherwise, we move to Giant President.
Yes, please. I have another question.
Okay, please go ahead.
So the other question is that so assuming you are currently working and you want to look for a different opportunity. So will it be appropriate for you to include that you are currently working in your CV again?
You're working on it?
you are currently working as a facility and you are applying for opportunities elsewhere. And so I want to know if you should include in your CV that you are currently working in such facility.
Oh yeah. But there are some people. So you know, I will repeat this. Anytime you are applying for a job, and you so unless it is if possible, you state what you have or what you do. So sometimes organizations may think that you are deliberately limiting certain information based on something. Okay, so if you don't want any suspicious eye, you put it there. We have had cases where somebody comes and as soon as they leave, we have somebody on the panel say, I used to work with him in this place. And then we'll call you back and say, but you went here. Why didn't you put on the CV? They'll tell you either they were dismissed or they have an issue there or something. So for organizations that who don't have time like ours to come and check, they will think that by being invasive on your CV, by limiting certain information, you are trying to hide something. So when it comes to the job environment, again, transparency is key, honesty is key. You are building a relationship. You don't want them to begin to suspect you for anything. So if possible, unless it's irrelevant totally, you should try and keep it there. There are certain times that you suppress some information based on relevance. For example, there's no need putting your SS qualification on your CV. You take too much space unless it's relevant. So if you have a lot of normally, for example, when it comes to a qualification, it should be your last 3 highest qualification. So you have a master's, you have a professional, you have a first degree. The top 3 is enough. You don't go and put your JHS, ECHS, primary,
nursery school.
Nursery, yeah. So some people all go all the way that they were here primary. Meanwhile, they have a PhD. They will list from primary to PhD. It's irrelevant. You list your PhD, master's, that's it. If we need further information on you, we'll get to know. But there are some that are relevant, like a first degree, like your first job, your national service. Where did you do it? Because that's where we can check whether your behavior was okay. If you did intention, where did you do it? Maybe you went to do something that you were hiding. Get to know. So those ones are relevant. But things like your basic DHS, those ones you don't need to. And again, if it is irrelevant totally, things like marital status. So I'll tell you what, marital status, gender, because of discrimination and things, these things currently are limited. You don't put those things. You know about this whole gender thing. So somebody will write it, marital status, age, number of children, ages of the children, the names of the children. You don't need that in a CV.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President, let me quickly run through the questions on the text message so that you can, let me see, call it, have the final word, and then we can, in a way, call it a day. So there's a question here. It says, hello, please. How can we apply for jobs which require 3 to 5 years experience for fresh graduate? I think Giant Tay explained that if you apply for such a job and you are called to the interview, then you probably are meeting some of their expectations and want to hear from you. In that case, go ahead and enter or make yourself available for the interview. Otherwise, if it's very specific to the job and you are not called, don't bother. He says also, there's another question. He says, sir, please, how can we contact you for internships? We will share Jainte's contact with everyone soon. Please, can you post the career website? We will also share that with you shortly. Jainte, I am also into data analytics with a background in Bachelor of Science, Mathematics, and Statistics. Done a couple of courses in data analytics, but breaking into the tech world has been very difficult for me. please help me out. In situations like this, Jainte has said that he would like to engage personally so he can help with career counseling. Please, how do I register for the career website you are talking about? So we will share the website as well. Giant President, over to you.
Thank you, Giant. So I have a question, and I want Giant Sammy to probably comment on it. So one of the things that sometimes we ignore is unpaid internship and volunteerism. In my career, I've found that sometimes, and in my case, a lot of things that I did volunteering or not being paid for also counted, and people were actually more interested in those things when I went for interviews. So I want to know what he thinks about it, because a lot of times we stay at home saying we don't have work, and we have all these skills that could have benefited profits, GAA, your community, or something. You could do something for them free and talk about it as work experience, but we don't. We just sit down and say that we don't have experience or nobody's calling us. What is your comment about that? Thanks.
Thank you, President. I think, in fact, I'll even go further to say the things that we did in school, okay, school prefect, class prefect, hall president, SRC president, JRC president, all those associations that we join, they are relevant, especially when you're going to a leadership role. Because again, those are the fundamental exposures that you have. When we interview certain candidates, you can clearly see that some of the leadership roles that they held in school, some of the leadership roles that they held in alumni and sessions like this, it gives them a very strong foundation in the workplace. And surprisingly, it's almost like a given. You will see it translate and be very, very consistent, in the workplace and everywhere. So I totally agree with you. And remember, you are competing. It's a competition. So if you have something that will add to your profile, that's why I say that for me, there is nothing like an over-the-top CV. Add it, because that may be what will differentiate you from the rest. Okay, internships, volunteer works, associations, positions that you held in associations, school jobs, all those, in fact, extracurricular activities. Okay, so I chair a couple of boards in schools, for example, PTA, participate in them. I'm a board chair of a trust fund. I put them there. It will push you to be a board chair, me to be a board chair in another organization. So I totally agree with you, Senior, and don't miss out on those ones. I see we see people, in fact, we recruit people based on even internships with the bank. So when you do internship for us, for example, unless you are not good, you are most likely to come back to do national service. If you come and do national service, unless you are very bad, you will come back to do entry level job. It's almost a given. And these experiences, if you don't show them, we don't know them. And remember, it's a competition. You may have limited of them. In terms of the payment, so I personally think that organizations that do not pay any form of incentive or allowance to interns are exploiting human resources. We do pay. As long as you enter the system, you pay. And I know the Labor Commission is coming up with a model on that one. There's been a lot of debate from the ILO, International Labour Organization, around the fact that it's training. So why do you have to pay for training? In certain contexts, they also help. So I think it will be a bit unfair for organizations to use people, even if they are students and they are coming in for internship, and it's some TNT or something. We don't compromise on those ones. And I know organizations who take We will take advantage of interns and come and use them, and then even transport they don't give them. So when we go for some of our association meetings, like the Institute of Human Resource Practitioners, for example, it's a proposal that we're considering to make it a law or make it part of the requirement for organizations not to exploit students and not pay them internship allowances. I know some of them are unpaid, but we believe it's unfair. And we pay grants. Some people even we pay grants. Some people want to do it because we pay quite a huge amount for some of them because we look at your transport and everything, and then you come and go. Yes, besides the person's a student, how do you expect them to come to school? So come to the office. So I agree with you that we should pay, but I also agree with you that if you have a CV and you have those experiences, please get not over the top CV. Add it if it's relevant, because that could be what will stand you tall from the rest.
Thank you very much. Let me add that I recall after national service, after A-level, after national service, I worked with a firm for 3 months. In fact, I worked with a firm for a year, but 3 months into my internship, where I was not going to be paid, the organization saw value. It's also important to be seen through volunteerism that you are committed well enough to the job, so much so that management and your senior or your direct reports notice that you have something to offer, as that which is of enough value for the organization to begin to recognize that this guy, we forgive him something, and so on and so forth. And so while President is also advocating for volunteerism, it's also important that when you go to do volunteerism, you commit yourself wholeheartedly and completely to the assignment on hand. That way, organizations can begin to recognize you and provide you some kind of support to keep coming back. All right, so with that, Mr. President, would you like to give us our closing remarks? For most of the questions that are still coming up in the text, I think we provided the responses to them. We will share Jainte's contact details, email address, and so on, and then also share with you the websites and links and so on, where you can place your CVs and so on for potential work. Giant President, over to you.
Thank you, Jainte, and thank you everybody who was able to make it to today's program. I think it's been a very successful one. I've learned a lot myself. Some of the things I've learned here, I'm going to be talking to my students about. We advise students and they come to us for the kind of advice that we got today. So I will be using it in my advising sessions with students. Please, as Jainte told us, it's a tough world out there getting a job, but if you position yourself well, you should be able to find something. So let's take all the advice we've learned today. We'll post a link of this recording up on our YouTube page so that you can share with other friends. Work at it, and I'm sure you will get something. And also, Jainte, we want to thank you once again for coming for this or taking on this task at very short notice. I think we told you about it about 3 weeks ago, and you said you would do it. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I think with that we can call it a wrap, and we'll see you guys at another time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And gentlemen, let's continue to stand tall and look for better opportunities. Please, one thing that you should always remember, don't put on your CV, especially when it comes to references, we'll provide it upon request. At least, if I didn't remember or don't remember anything about this discussion, that one I remember. All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right then.
Goodbye.